how do we expect to make progress on what we care about if we do not invest that time? I have a confession to make. I use the excuse, I don't have time, all the time. Maybe this is your go-to excuse as well. Maybe you are so busy and you have all these things on your plate, just like I do, just like so many of us do, and therefore we think we do not have time. We cannot possibly focus on this thing that we've been wanting to work on while we have all these other things going on in our life. It could be professional, it could be personal, it could just be that you're prioritizing something else in your life, and that's okay. But I want to talk to you about the fact that you are using this as an excuse to put off the thing that you've been wanting to do to progress your space career. I want you to think for a moment what that is. What is it that you've been putting off that you know will help you to get the space career that you want, to get that new job, to get that promotion, to get that new business, to get those new clients and customers? Whatever it happens to be that you know you've been wanting to work on in your career, you've been putting it off, or you've been doing it half-heartedly because you don't have time. Now, I do want to talk about this excuse for a moment because it is my favorite. I am busy. I run a small business. I have 5 young children. I truly don't have a lot of free time in my life. What I have found is that we prioritize what we care about. So whatever that thing is that we are wanting to truly change in our life, we are going to find the time. We are going to make the time. And there are times that we can't do this. I'm going to go over those later. But the vast majority of our life, we have a little bit here, a little bit there, or we can de-emphasize something else while we work on this thing that we truly care about. Because how do we expect to make progress on what we care about if we do not invest that time? This is a very common mindset around New Year's. We make New Year's resolutions or goals or a word, and we say, we're gonna focus on this. And then we do for a short time, right? Or maybe a longer time, maybe you're better than most. And we actually prioritize it. We put aside some of the other things we've been doing. We realize that sometimes we waste time. We truly do have time in our lives that are not serving a purpose with what we're filling it. And for a lot of people, it's scrolling through social media or playing some video game or whatever it happens to be that you find that is not useful, not productive, not giving some value to your life. We can find those holes, and within those holes, we can fill them with something that is truly meaningful, truly productive, truly something we want to be focusing on, and that's how we make progress. Or we can temporarily pause, stop, delay something that we have been working on. And I'm thinking specifically, sabbaticals are a really good example of this. Some people at universities in their professional life want to make progress on something, so they go on sabbatical, they pause all their teaching, all their normal university duties, and they really focus on writing a book or whatever it happens to be that they're on sabbatical for. That is an extreme example, but that's just one example of how we can pause or slow down or delay something that actually is productive in our lives so that we can focus on something else. If you are finding this video valuable, I'd be over the moon if you subscribed. Thank you so much. Now, I hear this objection quite a bit with people who come to me wanting to enter the space industry or wanting to progress their space careers in some way, and they say they don't have the time. In fact, this is probably the number one excuse that I hear, and I can empathize. I can relate. I totally understand, because I want to grow my business. I want to scale my business, and I have all these competing priorities. I've got all the duties that I already have in my work. I've got family life. I've got other things. I've got, even just self-care. Being able to prioritize mental, emotional, and physical health is just all these things that compete, all these priorities. However, we have to set some kind of goal for ourselves and dedicate that time to meeting that goal. And so if someone comes to me and says, I want a new job, I want to transition, I will usually say, why are you coming to me with this now? What's important to you in this moment? Is there something that happened? Or is there some realization that you had that makes you realize that you really need to make this change in your life? And what time frame are we talking about? Are we talking about a couple of months? Are we talking about a year? Like, what time frame? Because that tells me what kind of pace, what kind of urgency that you are willing to work on this. And so when I talk to people who really want to make a job transition, for example, I tell them that unless they dedicate some kind of time, then it's unlikely that they're going to make the progress that they want to make. It does happen that something will fall out of the sky and you won't have to put any time in it at all. It'll just run into your path and you'll meet it, and it's just serendipitous. But that's more unusual. What's much more common is that you put in the dedicated time to progress your career, whatever it happens to be. So with the Space Career Coaching that I do, if you are working a self-paced online course that I have, the Launch Your Space Career, that is entirely in your own time. You can work on it 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, or you can dedicate an hour on a weekend whenever you feel ready. But if you are in the group coaching program, if you're in Accelerate Your Space Career, then that is a bit of a time commitment that I expect you to have every week. And it's not a large time commitment. It's 1 hour coaching call a week, plus a little bit of time set aside for homework and other types of progression in your space career. Even if you can only do that 1 hour coaching call, plus a few other minutes here and there throughout the week, you're still going to make progress. And the amount of time that you put in is going to be a factor in the results that you get. So if you are willing to put in a large amount of time in networking, in finding the right positions, in tailoring your application so that it's the best application it can be, so that you can maximize your chances when you're applying for a job, and all the other strategies that I teach, well, then you're going to get better results than someone who's just following along with the weekly calls every week, 1 hour a week, and that's it. So it really is dependent on what you put in is what you're going to get out. Now, I do want to say that I do offer intensive VIP coaching where if someone wants to make a lot of progress in a very short period of time and they are willing to put in that time, I do offer that as a premium service. And that has happened where people say, I need to make this change quickly. And they are willing to put in that time. For whatever reason, they have that incentive. And so I want to find within you, what is your incentive? That motivator that you said to yourself earlier in the video, that thing you want to progress in your space career, what is it? And what is the motivator that's going to determine that now is the right time for you to commit to actually making it happen? And what kind of time are you willing to put into it? What kind of priority do you want to make it in your life? Now, I did want to say that there are some caveats here. If there is a health reason, if you or a loved one is going through some kind of health reason, whether it's physical or emotional, then you need to prioritize yourself, your family, making sure that your health is in alignment with where you want to be. Because if you are going through something, or if a loved one is going through something, then you probably should be focused on that as your number one priority. And in fact, I actually tell clients who come to me who are going through something in their lives, whether themselves or a loved one, that now is probably not the right time for them. That they need to tell me when is the right time for them a little bit later when they're not dealing with a crisis, so that they can really prioritize and focus on their career without something else going on in the background that really should be a higher priority. If progressing your space career is something that you do want to focus on, please contact me. I am happy to guide you into starting or progressing your space career. And one great thing about having a space career coach is that I will keep you accountable to your goals. And so if timing and time management is something that is an issue for you, I will make sure that you follow up with what you say you're going to do so that you don't get lost in the whole I don't have time priority slip up.